Hello, 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 beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of the USL Show. We are back with a landmark of an episode today. Um, yeah, we got the corporate message. We're all over it. Hey, congratulations to North Carolina on winning promotion as League One and North Carolina both jokingly tweet about it and then give some actually angry responses about, instead of joking, why don't you do it, huh, pal? Like, hey, let us have some fun. And the championship is upon us. And expected it, didn't expect it, completely shocked, but not shocked whatsoever. Phoenix in their villain arc and Charleston and Pierman kind of doing Pierman things, and we're totally here for it. But first things first, I want to start with Ryan. You ran a 5K.
I did, yes. I did not do it in my new USL show kit, as you could probably see from my tweet, but I set it in a new personal best time, which I was pretty proud of, and I couldn't feel my fingers or toes at the end of it because it was 37 degrees out. So, all in all, a good time.
I mean, didn't you get a blanket?
It's still in its plastic wrapping because it was funny because like after the race, someone tapped me on the shoulder and says, like, you look like you're cold. You know, they gave out blankets. And I was like, oh, so this is what it was?
Need better advertisement. Phil, how are you?
All good. I don't know why all the non-USL soccer that I've been watching just talks about VAR now. That's just the whole sport. So anyways, aside from that, I'm actually going down to Miami this weekend for the long weekend. Not the Miami FC related, although I am excited for one particular export, Bolu Akinyode, headed to El Paso from Miami. So, anyways, I am looking forward to vacation. But other than that, I'm looking forward to talking about the biggest league in the world.
I absolutely adore Bolu, and if you get a chance to talk to him on Seriously Loco, please ask him if he is still vegan/vegetarian, and then also ask the person that might be living with him, because I talked to Bruno Lapa, and they were roommates, and Bruno Lapa is a self-proclaimed carnivore that was living with a vegan. And it was hilarious, the conversations that were coming out of that household. So I need more follow-ups on this.
Like you get a vegan with the like whatever seed oils are like demasculating our society or something like that.
Yeah, whatever it is. John?
Yeah, well, I'm fired up about Phil like burying the lead that he's taken over the Miami FC coaching job. Otherwise, doing well.
Weird way to announce it, but I figured, anyways.
Well, after Fresno passed you over with the Oakland application, I mean,
I know Jermaine Jones like took my spot out in Central Valley, so it's it was tough to take, but. I'll settle for Miami.
Phil's going to bring #heat culture to Miami FC.
Yeah, well, the Miami FC is going to have it on their pitch next season. Just a whole Miami FC culture.
You're kind of talking about Jermaine Jones. We were able to get involved with doing the presser for that, which ridiculous that we're at all in these kind of allowed to be here. Like, why in the world am I even in the same press conference as Jermaine Jones? That should never happen. But one thing that was said at the very top is that Fuego apparently got over 100 applicants, and they read through all of them, which does mean they read my application for their job, which is hilarious.
I want to know their average time spent per application.
When they saw mine, 0 seconds. I promise. But it is fine. Look, let's start off with the biggest news. Well, not the biggest news. The biggest news, I guess, kind of being CBS. We're going to talk about that at the very end of the show, because we need to give, the flowers, the dogwoods, if you will, to, hey, North Carolina gets their win. And League One decided we're never going to have PKs at all in our league, and then we get a semifinal and the finals decide on PKs, and that was fun. And saving a penalty onto the crossbar, awesome. And a little bit of love to whoever puts out all the graphics for not making that last goal an own goal on Pack and putting it down as just a normal goal scored, because having it just listed own goal would just be brutal for someone who was easily the best goalkeeper in the league. But it was a fun, cagey match, and it was one of those matches that everybody, I think, weirdly saw coming, of being 0-0 going into extra, because every time you get these teams score goals, they're really fun and exciting teams, it always ends up being scoreless because nobody wants to be the one to concede first by trying to score. Not exactly shocking, but it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was a game where you could tell throughout the match that I feel like both of the teams were kind of pulling their punches to a degree. Neither Jeffries nor Bradford wanted to make like that decisive change and really put out the risk. But I think over the course of the 120 minutes, North Carolina kind of proved that they were the better side. You see it in the expected goals, of course, but I thought strategically, the way that they just kind of stuck to the game plan, right? Like, you built with the back three with Flores coming deep. Luis Perez had free reign on that left side. Rafa was doing Rafa things on the right wing, cutting in. I thought defensively, Garrett McLaughlin had a really big game. The way that he dropped into the midfield and made sure that it was hard to access Miguel Ibarra was massive. And the Independents, granted, like, made some smart changes. They were in this thing throughout. Obertan, especially in the second half, really grew into the match. I was happy to see it go to penalties because I think it was a deserving way for this rivalry to play out and to really cap a great season of League One soccer. And ultimately, I think North Carolina can hang their hat on the fact that they went out, they built a team out of practically scratch that was a contender that took them from worst to first. And hey, they're going up for a reason.
Yeah, I think the way it played out, I mean, you can't draw up maybe a more painful way for Charlotte to lose. Obviously, like, thinking that they basically won the game deep into extra time, and then it is so unlucky from Pack the way the ball goes off the crossbar, off of his back and in, having been so good. And then there's something about the stutter step penalty. The amount of stutter steps from Gallardo just tells you, like, I don't know, like, it's just not what you want to see, like, in those decisive moments. It makes everybody sort of nervous, and it is, I mean, all things considered, it is still like a really stunning save from Thompson to get there. It's not at a great height for him, and he tips it onto the crossbar. So anyways, all things considered, North Carolina, obviously, deserved winners. But yeah, if you thought up a way for Charlotte to go out painfully, or, to lose painfully in this final, they pretty much found the most painful way for it to happen.
I mean, as we spoke at the start of the playoffs, Kayla and I, we had picked North Carolina to be that team that we selected to win and to basically go through the playoffs as the way they did, and to pick up the final in their last match in USL 1. It was a fantastic performance from both teams, but you're looking at an NCFC team who they end my ELO ratings as the best USL 1 team in league history. He barely beating out North Texas SC from 2019. And it was really a strong performance from the top three finishers of the league. But with North Carolina making it to the final and winning it on PKs, they end their time in the league at the top of the pile.
Yeah, I think for me, this one was just, I mean, it was just fun. And I keep coming back to that. And because we've gotten finals before that were not very fun. I guess if you're on the winning side of it, it's fun. But, that we've seen finals where it's just like, okay, right? Like, we fine, you won. It was fun. But this one was legitimately fun. And it was even. 20 shots to 21 shots, 4 shots on target to 5 shots on target. The XGs were very similar. They came out and they were just blow for blow the same, just giving the same kind of fight. They were both up for it. And it was a great time. And it's just a fun watch too. And yeah, we get the thing, that Ryan has been joking about, which was, hey, they won promotion. And everybody kind of keeps just saying it like, the Federation shaking their fist at someone finally getting promoted and stuff like that. It's kind of a funny storyline, but to me, and Charlotte and Phoenix and Charleston, it all comes back to something I kind of put out on Twitter earlier this week. It's amazing what happens when you actually invest in your football club. Oh, you want to win games? Buy better players, buy better coaches. Like in the USL, dreams truly can be buy, right? You can go out there and win if you invest. And North Carolina said, wooden spoons aren't fun. Let's invest. Let's invest in our team. And by God, they did. When this offseason, we said North Carolina might be the favorites. Same thing with Charlotte. Charlotte has been notorious for they invest, they just don't pay. They kind of do that whole thing, but they go out there and do it. They invest in their on-field performance. Same thing for Charleston and Phoenix. These teams went out and they kept providing for their club, for their program, essentially. And it was awesome to see. And I hope this becomes more of what you're supposed to do in this league, which is buy a better product. And if you can't, drop somewhere that you can, unfortunately.
Yeah, and just to give some credit there to, the Independents, who made some really smart changes within this game. And I think it highlighted the fact that they've invested in a deep roster. Like, again, bringing Dane Kelly off the bench, which we talk about week in and week out in the playoffs, the impact he had, giving them a real proper presence at striker. Not only he's the one who forced the corner kick that ended up giving them the go-ahead goal, but what he did to free up Overton just to take on more of a free-flowing style to his game. Massive to turning around the momentum and giving the Independents a second life. I think, ironically, some of the changes they made in the midfield probably set up that somersault equalizer, but you love the ambition. And speak about investment. Not only has North Carolina done so much at the top end, building what was kind of a League One All-Star team in a way in the attacking front, but look at the youth investment. Look at what they've done with Nick Holiday. I can't remember the name of the kid they've got for the Mexican U17s, who's really seeming like a star player. They just announced a development partnership over with the Mexican club as well. Everything that North Carolina is doing is what you want to see from top down for a team with real ambition in the USL.
And I am just loving that with all the talk of promotion and relegation in USL, up and down, whatever, the fact that it happened by accident, essentially, is just genuinely, that's just funny. Love what they did. Love the fact that North Carolina, we've talked about it previously on the show. Love that they were able to drop into League One, consolidate, figure out an actual strategy to get back to a championship level. And it just is nice that they also won the league to, justify that move up. But yeah, like we said, it's awesome that they had that opportunity to drop into League One and actually figure out what was going to make them sustainable going forward. They invested in the team and now they're back in the championship. Obviously, the test here now for North Carolina, after memeing their way out of League One, is are they going to be back in the championship in a competitive way? And will they be serious? Because obviously, that jump, we're not exactly sure what that looks like. Not many teams have made that jump back and forth. So we'll see what they do, but excited to see them back in the championship. And it's just funny that USL accidentally implemented promotion based on the winner of the title. So yeah.
We can have our very own yo-yo club.
North Carolina's got some stuff coming up that we're going to be excited about, just to kind of drop the seed there.
So, yeah, I mean, hey, look, anything to have, because North Carolina, if you haven't had a chance to go, is a fun away day. Like Cary is just fun. Have a great time. And whenever I've been out there before, it's always fun. And especially if you're coming from somewhere west, you get to drive through the mountains and then to go through North Carolina to get there. Now, if you're coming from like Charleston, not so much, but either way, it's a fun time. So excited to have them back in the championship. And yeah, look, North Carolina just kind of dropping like we were going to miss you, and then just Charlotte, not you. Like it cracks me up. Just it makes me laugh. Thank you, admin, for just
Your admin is killing the game this week.
Someone just let them have a little bit of control. They're like, you can trust me. It's fine. We're good. So, any last thoughts for League One, basically?
One stray League One thought. Hopefully, Santa Barbara gets together for 2025. Sad to see that they're delaying a year.
Yeah,
that was snuck in at the end of the announcement that we'll talk about at the end of the show with CBS.
Yeah, I think with that, I think a lot of people kind of saw it coming when they were just kind of not doing anything.
Yeah.
In my head, they were always at 2025. I thought 2024 was honestly super ambitious, and I was going to be very shocked if they did it. Not saying it wasn't possible, but it would have been super ambitious for them to get it turned around, ready to go that fast. So, but 2 year time to get everything sorted is pretty normal, if we're being honest. But let's go over to the championship side, the championship, the final, and it's going to be down at Patriots Point. And hey, we got a little preview talking all about it, John, from the past, whatever.
Phoenix and Charleston have completed worst of first campaigns to reach the title game, and I want to preview how their matchup might shake out this Sunday. For Phoenix, it's all about activating the forward line and getting touches for Danny Trejo, Panos Sarmanakis, and Derek Formella in dangerous parts of the pitch. Often you'll see Rising drop two of their attacking players in that 3-4-3 shape a little bit deeper, then play a ball over the top, whether that's into the pace of Trejo or into more of the physicality and the hold-up play of Formella. It's a clean way to get chances, and it's something Phoenix often relies on. The upside of keeping those attackers a little bit deeper is that they can also press effectively if Phoenix gets a knockdown. You see that there in the lead up to the amazing Cuejo winner from the weekend. However, this is a Charleston team that's very good about defending in transition and defending against those balls over the top. Against Louisville on Saturday, you saw them effectively defend against Cameron Lancaster and Brian Ownby rotating. You see that action on the sideline, but look how Charleston rotates back, gets bodies into the midfield, so there's never really a clean passing angle. Louisville struggled because they didn't get enough runners in behind and couldn't overcome the fact that the Battery were so good defensively. Going the other way, I think Charleston's fluidity is going to play a big role in this matchup. The Battery are very good about switching where their midfielders are positioned, pressing hard, and getting past opposing looks. Louisville really tried to press aggressively in the midfield, but Charleston was able to slice through them and activate players like Nick Markanich and Tristan Traeger, who could cut inside on the ball, get beyond those elevated pressers, and really wreak havoc. Now, you've seen Phoenix be a bit vulnerable in this context. In the San Diego game, for instance, rotation from the right wing back and the central midfielder led to the first goal that put the Loyal ahead. Phoenix came back in an end-to-end game, but it's something to watch with this matchup and a devastatingly good Charleston team. Either way, though, this is a thrilling matchup, and this has been a great season for both teams. I can't wait to see how things shake out.
And just like that, we are on to the finals. And these were, again, more fun, kind of cagey matches of Charleston. I mean, Arturo Rodriguez just Oh my God. The only thing you kind of look at is saying you wish the wall did more to help out Zimwa there. But even then, easy for me to say. Like whatever. No, I don't think there's a goalkeeper in the world that saves that without just cheating beforehand, right? It's just an unreal free kick. And I do eventually want to get to the penalty because there was a lot of discourse on that. And then, hey, it gets a little fun at the end. You get a player sent off, you get a goal back. Is Lose City magic? Is their voodoo magic real? Or do they somehow have it? Gets a little cagey, gets a little fun, doesn't work out. And then from there, we are just waiting for West Coast because, hey, if Phoenix manages to pull it off, we are going to be back in Patriots Point the next week. And dear Lord, the cardiac kids come through again. Quesha, game-winning goal that Phoenix refuses to win in regular time. They just cannot do it. They refuse to. And there was a minute there where I was just like, Sacramento might just demolish Phoenix because there was a real moments of domination there that I was just like, dear Lord. I say that, but I mean, the one camera angle, we could really tell what was going on. That was my personal opinion anyway. We got it back. It's fine. But that was also just fun. And also, man, that was again one of those matches, just like Sacramento, San Antonio, but even more this one. I wish I could have been there. That looked like it was just a blast to be a part of. There's not many times in the United States where you get the shaky camera because people are celebrating so hard, and you got it in this one. It was just so much fun to watch. But Quesha, hey, he continues to be a part of this, and this entire attacking 4-5 of Phoenix is a problem, even for a team with, what was it, 4 all league defenders. Ridiculous. Oh, you're muted, John.
That's why I'm a podcast professional. Just like kicking it back with that Charleston game to start off. I think what impressed me with the Battery was the way that throughout this playoff run, they've continually stuck with the principles that have made them successful all year. And I know I hit on it in the tactics show with the way that they're so good in the midfield and so fluid in how they play in the midfield. Like Arturo Rodriguez was the standout in this game. But in the last round against Birmingham, you had Ikaza doing the same thing. Chris Allen is a rock who does all of the little things that are really easy to miss as that deepest lying player in the center of the pitch. But again, he's just massive. And the way that they press, the way that I know we had a little bit of discourse on this on Twitter, Kaylor, where Archer wasn't really going short to Dodson all that much. And really from the back, Charleston tended to play pretty direct and long because they know that if you linger in that area with the ball, trying to be so patient, Brian Ownby, Cameron Lancaster are going to pounce on you in the press, right? And by getting it downfield, by pushing Ikaza and Rodriguez pretty high up to pursue those second balls, you're going to be able to control the territory and apply pressure on that Louisville goal. And hey, I mean, it worked to a T for them. They did what they needed to do. I mean, I know you referenced a little bit of controversy with the penalty, but it felt like systematically Charleston just had the game plan that deserved to get the win on the day. And I think the broader narrative around this team, what Lee Cohen, what Ben Pierman have done to revive soccer in that city are really an achievement that we need to respect. And I think it's just a fantastic storyline and a really exciting team on all fronts.
I think something we've got to take into account too in this sort of format, because Battery across the 90 don't create a whole ton. Louisville kind of created about the same. XG was pretty level, and Battery had the lead in the 9th minute. So it's there's not a lot of, there's no incentive for them to go chase the game or try to create a bunch. They're trying to control things. They tried to calm things down. I mean, they kept Louisville's threat pretty low for large portions of the game. And that is I don't know. That's how you manage a postseason match when it is like it's all on the line. You're not going to go out in an attacking way. You're going to try to control space. You're going to try to like keep the game played, at sort of a low intensity while you've got that lead. And I think too, they showed like what makes them so strong. They exploited wide areas against Louisville and like pressed well in moment, like picked their spots to press and create opportunities off of those regaining possession like in Louisville's half. So that's the sort of stuff that can unsettle Phoenix and is just how you would expect them to get after it. But yeah, I mean the story from Battery, and I think I said as much like on Twitter the next morning, was just like the organization just deserves like a huge shout out, because I mean they understood where they wanted to go. They put the people in place that they thought could get them there, and then gave Pearman the tools to build a squad capable of doing it, and he's done it. So what a reward for the faith that the organization put in Ben Pearman, and obviously we just chatted to him a few weeks ago, and now he's going to be playing for the final. So yeah, I mean, professional performance against a team that maybe rode a bit of luck getting to, or a little bit of just magic getting to their 9th straight conference final, but getting past Louisville is no small feat, we all know. So yeah, credit to Charleston, and man, that free kick goal will just live long in the memory. Absolute banger.
The one thing that I kind of get back to when it comes to Charleston in this one is they do this a lot, and maybe John will have a completely disagreeing opinion to me, but the one thing Charleston does the best to me, more so than any other team in the USL, is they force teams to do the things that they're not good at. Like, they are so good at that. Like, last year we saw it with San Antonio. San Antonio was like, we are going to press you and counterattack as fast as we can, and we are going to force you to play our game. Charleston forces you to play a game that you don't like. They change their style of play all the time to make you do what you don't want to do. It's a weird thing to say about Lou City, but this year they've been better when they lose possession. Not lose possession, when they lose the possession battle. When they are pressing and counterattacking, they do better. Guess what Charleston did? Charleston said, here's the ball. We'll counterattack now. And they'll do stuff like that all year long, where they'll force you to play a game plan that you don't like. And they'll plan around that to make you do what you don't want. And it is so fun to watch. It is just an incredible thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I would kind of push back on the narrative that Lou City is like better this year when they don't have possession. I think that was kind of like the bane of their existence for much of the year. And there's a reason that they finally dominate the ball a bit in that Detroit game, for instance, and they look like the Lou City we've come to know and love. But what you said about Charleston kind of being similar to San Antonio in the way that they can force opponents to play a style that just makes them uncomfortable. That's the bread and butter of this team. And I think it's something that sets them apart from Pearman's Memphis side last year, where Memphis played a stylish brand of soccer. They had a real identity, but they never felt like they were dictating the tempo a lot of the time, despite the fact that they were so talented. So for Pearman to take a really young roster and do what he's done, I think it's made it that much more impressive, certainly.
And you're just looking at this Charleston team, and it's the same thing that you're seeing across the ball in Phoenix, that they just happen to get hot again at the right time. And that's what someone does when you get into the postseason. You just carry that momentum going forward. I mean, they opened up the postseason with that 5-0 win over Indy 11, and then they just professionally took care of business against Birmingham and Louisville. And just like what was so incredible about Charleston this entire season was that they just kept finding ways to pull out results when everything was kind of going up against them during this year. And like, how about like starting the year hosting Phoenix, and then we end up right back here again at the end of the season. But then like you look across the ball at a Phoenix side who, I mean, throughout this entire playoffs, they go in on the road to these tough environments, and they get results and continue to move on and advance. It sets up a fantastic final that we have on our hands.
And let's go over to the best coast, the West Coast, and let's go to the Golden State, where Phoenix hates California. They hate California. From the south to the north, hate them. And they go into the Den of the Indomitable, the team that we said just doesn't lose at home, and Phoenix doesn't care, right? They just don't care. And I have no stakes in the matches now that Birmingham's out of it. And I'm nervous watching every single Phoenix game. Every match that Phoenix is in, I am super nervous. I don't know. It always they are just a fun watch, but boy, did they get you on the edge of your seat. They take down Sacramento, and they were kind of going between this like 3-4-3 to this like 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2 kind of thing, just constant shifting depending on obviously transition. And it worked like a dream. There was a while where we said last week, and I think it might have been Nicholas Murray that said it last week in our chat, where Sacramento doesn't feel like the best team in league history, but they can beat you in every way that you could imagine. And Phoenix just kind of didn't care. And it was super fun to watch.
One, I just need to comment that Nicholas's haircut roasting in this comment section is completely unreal. Second, just like on the Phoenix-Sacramento game, I thought Sacramento, interestingly enough, like came out with a pretty distinct approach for themselves. Like, yes, they were in the 5-4-1, but the height of that midfield line in the press really trying to make it hard for Phoenix to do what they do best, which is possess the ball at the back, drop Harvey and Hernandez, and really rotate. I mean, push up Traore quite often from that left center back spot. Like, Sacramento was hell-bent on stopping that from happening, and it left space between the lines. And they were really reliant on Timmer and Wheat, especially in their own back three, to step up, go pretty hard in the tackle to deny the channels to Rising. It worked well initially, certainly. Like, I think they looked a little bit off balance compared to usual. I think they were a little bit less able to kind of turn those turnovers into transition looks. I mean, I liked the decision from Briggs, certainly. Like, it was smart, but it may have put them off the pace a bit. And Guerra just trusted the process like he's done throughout this postseason. Really leaned into the offensive changes in the second half. Traore, like you mentioned, Kaylor, pushed up and really rendered it more of a two center back shape late on in the game. And then when you've got Cuejo, somebody who only started 5 games in the regular season amidst injury and all of that, he's been the impact sub of the playoffs, like 2 games in a row, really doing the job. By comparison, Luther Archimed didn't offer what he usually does for Sacramento. So, I mean, I think Ryan hit the nail on the head too when he said this is a team that's just rounding into form at the right time. Guerra hasn't put a foot wrong in the postseason, and hey, they've got a shot to get some silverware.
I mean, talking about Briggs' approach, like, I was enamored in the first half by the free roll that between Keko and Nick Ross playing these like free rolls in between the lines, like absolutely, like Nick Ross was playing on the left, then popping up on the right, like similar. Keko was playing all the way out on the wing and then playing central. Like, they're just like, I loved what he was doing. They were causing all sorts of problems. Like, they had license to carry the ball. And yeah, I thought, like, early on, I'm thinking like Phoenix absolutely can't handle this. They're like all out of sorts. And at the end of the day, like, Sacramento just wasn't able to create enough genuine chances off of all of these sort of like dangerous positions that they took up. They just didn't create the genuine chances. Cicerone's goal is one of those that like is going to be lost to time as, you know, ultimately not mattering in the game. It's unbelievable footwork to be able to spin and score there. And like, this is sort of what I talked about when Phoenix took down Loyal, is like, if you let Phoenix hang around, they are nothing if not the heel. Like they absolutely will ruin your day if you allow them the chance and keep them in the game. And it was one of I genuinely I thought like Sacramento had the game won or had it sort of locked up. Phoenix had not threatened as much. And as soon as that own goal is scored, you just felt like the field had tilted. The subs didn't leave Sacramento enough kind of going forward to really like, and there just was not that genuine sort of fluidity. And man, Quajo, as soon as it left his foot, it's like, yeah, that's worthy to win any game. And wow, what a way to do it for Phoenix. I will say, I don't know that Charleston is like the dream matchup for Phoenix. I think having to go cross country for the final is also tough. I don't know that, we've talked about it all season on this podcast, that going cross country has been extremely tough, not just on Phoenix, but on all of the teams, where a lot of losses, basically Charleston all season, the only way that they lose is when they go west, right? And similar with Pittsburgh, anyways, like, so this is going to be a really tough test for Phoenix. I don't think they match up particularly well with how Charleston utilizes like wide areas and stuff like that. But all that being said, getting a result in Sacramento is no easy feat, and to do it in the manner that they did, and to win in regulation, which, John, I know you baited them into it with the win in regulation challenge right before the goal. But yeah, so no, I mean, super impressive from Phoenix, and obviously they've just thrived on being the villain, which never underestimate Phoenix's ability to hurt people.
Can I just say real quick, Rising will not have played a home game since October 7th. Like, they're just road warriors to end the year completely. It's really tough on them. Yeah, like it makes the run they've gone on all the more surprising that they've just been going into rival stadiums and getting this done every week.
Can I maybe also, sorry, Ryan, I just kind of with that point real fast just to piggyback. I wonder if it makes it somehow easier because you've gotten into the routine of get up, train at home, travel, and go. Like, I wonder if you're in such a routine of training at home, going away, that it's just kind of your life now and you don't even think about it. Not saying it makes it easy, but I wonder if having such a long stretch weirdly makes it just a part of the normal like week now.
Talking to Owain from PHNX, it certainly seems like the travel might be tiring on some folks in the Phoenix community.
Wow.
And we look at Phoenix whenever they traveled this season, there were only 2 games for that they went cross country and picked up results, one of them being against Birmingham, and then the 1-1 draw they had against Charleston to start the year. One thing when like just looking back at historical outcomes of the playoffs, one thing that really struck me is that this year had like so much vibes of 2018 when Phoenix made that final against Louisville, because I think from that season, Louisville is very much of 2018 is very much what we're kind of seeing in Charleston this year. That team who had a pretty decent regular season. Louisville was the 2 seed that year, Charleston the 3, and they just got it done in the postseason. Whereas you had Phoenix, who would go into the postseason, knock off the Western Conference #1 seed, and now they set up a final against a team that probably is a tougher matchup for them than they really kind of wanted to get out of this final. What I will say is interesting is between my 2 ELO ratings that I have for both teams, Phoenix is actually ahead on both teams' ELO ratings by 1 singular point. So if this was at a neutral site, Phoenix would be the favorite here. And I think it's a really tough outcome to try and predict.
This is, before we get into the predictions, this is one of the more, I guess, just compelling finals I can remember in a while, because it's not a 1 versus 1 or a 1 versus 2, 2 versus 2, whatever. This is a 3 versus 6, and it doesn't really feel that way. And it's just kind of one of those things that even though Charleston is the higher seed, these matches, because it's not 1 versus 6 or even a 1 versus 3, it just feels super even. And, we kind of talked a lot of trash about the playoff format, and I understand that an 8 seed didn't make it all the way, but would a 6 seed have made it as far in the other kind of playoff bracket? Maybe, maybe not. But I do think that's led to more fun storylines, even though, basically the whole league makes the playoffs. But also it's been a fun playoffs too.
This is why we need, I'm going to talk about this forever because it's never going to happen, but this is why we need a separate like League Cup where everybody just plays in a single elimination, and then the final is the 2 conference champions, 2-legged final, and I mean regular season champs. So it would have been Pittsburgh, Sacramento, 2-legged final, home and away, just like absolute. You get the 2 best teams play, and you still get the chaos of the playoffs, and everybody just you have like Loudon knock somebody out in the first round, and yeah, madness. That's what I advocate for. But it's 2 different things. Like USL, actually winning USL should be between the 2 best teams. The playoffs are just then chaos for a League Cup.
USL Super Cup, potentially all Carolina edition if Charleston wins this weekend. I will say the last time Charleston made a USL Cup final, they were a 3 seed in 2012 when they beat a number 5 seeded Wilmington Hammerheads in Charleston, 1-0 in the final.
I think for me, where I guess to start getting into our actual predictions and stuff for this one, it's getting to the point of you're losing players for Charleston, like Barajas, who are going to be going World Cup. That's huge. But also, like, they have players like Traeger who can just slot in and doesn't matter. But you also have an attack for Phoenix that's running as hot as they can get right now. And I think it's leading to a very fun, very even final. That said, predictions wise, spoiler, not very even. There is a heavy lean for a favorite, which we might as well go ahead and start getting into that. John, who you got?
Yeah, so I mean, just thinking through the matchup, right? Like, I know I talked about it in the USL show clip we showed earlier. I just feel like what Charleston has systematically is more consistent. I think they're better able to dictate their game. I think the real threat is if Phoenix is able to get some of that rotation up top and get Trejo in behind. But Charleston has the answer to that. Like, they've shown a willingness to sit Segbers and Dodson deep at the fullback spots, really tighten it up and not allow that to be an issue. Rising have their threats, and if this turns into a shootout, I think it leans their way. I ultimately am leaning Charleston. And just to answer quickly a bit from something in the comments, this is probably controversial. I don't think Barajas is like a huge miss for this team. You mentioned it with Traeger. Barajas certainly gives you a lot of creativity. He's an excellent crosser of the ball. When he's cutting in on his left foot, he can kill you from anywhere as a shooter. But Traeger gives you speed. He gives you a box-to-box presence in a way that's going to really hurt a Phoenix team that, if you think about the left side for them with Manjama and Traore there, they're vulnerable to a player like Traeger more than they are to somebody like a Barajas, if you ask me. So I just like the Battery. I think that they've got the better system. They're more consistent, and they're at home. So going Battery.
Yeah, I'm going Battery as well. I think, well, yeah, I mean, for all the reasons John said, plus the fact that Phoenix has a ton of matches in their legs, right? They played extra time twice in the playoffs up to this point. They narrowly avoided extra time in Sacramento. And they're playing a team that is going to be at home, buoyed by the crowd. I mean, all of the things that go along with that. I still in the back of my mind, I'm thinking Phoenix, this is just the sort of occasion that Phoenix would love to ruin. And I don't know that they have quite enough to get up over the edge. I think it'll be close. Phoenix did a really good job of limiting Sacramento's, XG to 0.6 or something like that. But it's not like they created a ton either. And that's where it's going to be tough for them. They're going to have to keep it super cagey and really look for their opportunities on the counter, I think. But yeah, I think Charleston has enough about them to get the job done. And like you said, John, the team sort of approach here from Charleston is I think what is ultimately going to get them over the line.
I think what's going to be most crucial for this game is finding that opening goal. When you look back at Charleston's 9 defeats that they had in the regular season this year, 8 of them saw their opposing team score that opening goal. The only time Charleston this season scored first and then did not end up winning the game was actually fairly recently when they lost to B Miami FC on October 7th. I think Phoenix has shown already twice in this playoffs that if they concede first, they can definitely come back and find a way to get a result. I mean, we saw that against San Diego. We saw that against Sacramento. But I think Charleston, if they find that opening goal, they're going to find a way to just manage results going on from there. So I'm picking the Battery to win this. And this was also a little bit of a prisoner's dilemma because we were doing blind ballots in the back of our voting. And given what the standings are right now, since John and I are both picking Charleston, there won't be any change. So that means the standings will remain at the top as they are, which is me in front of John.
I am in the middle, speaking of the standings, in the middle of doing the anti-Charleston. I went from first to worst, so shout out to me. I'm just going to blame the fact that I don't have MLS 2 teams anymore because my concept of never picking a draw was really good last year when I could feast on MLS 2 teams, and this year could not do that anymore. So, yeah. I'm taking Phoenix. I'm the only one. I am taking Phoenix, and mainly Ben bullying me is a big reason why. I just want to throw that out there. The second reason, kind of the vibes. I won't lie. Phoenix just has it kind of going, and there's just something about this Phoenix team really taking on the villain role. We talk about it, but the fans do it. The fans take on the villain role better than anybody else we see in the USL. This team seems to really take on the villain role. They do such a good job with it. I've been super impressed with Formella this year. Something that we talked about at the beginning of the playoffs, but not really much since. The fact that Arteaga is a bench piece for Phoenix is crazy to me. So I
think it's crazy that it took them this long to figure out that Trejo through the middle is like how this team best functions. But
They
that's
didn't even
say
do
that
it
he's
against
still on the
Sacramento,
board.
though.
no,
Yeah.
they didn't. That's true.
They're so versatile, and I know you were kind of talking about how Charleston has the answers for this Phoenix team, but they have a attacking 4 to 5 that they can throw out and rearrange and put in really any order that they want to combat that. They can throw so many different looks at this back line. I'm not saying that they're going to get overwhelmed. This Charleston team is going to get completely overwhelmed and fall apart. I don't mean that at all. But so much can change. As for the rising keepers, and he's shaky, I am such a big fan of Rios Novos. I am the biggest Rios Novos fan probably on the planet, aside from Phoenix fans. His shot stopping is good. I love his technique. If you get a chance to watch his technique, it is flawless. And the times that you've seen the clips of him having, sweeper keeper gone wrong, frankly, the center backs kind of screwed him over by not coming to the ball or giving him a horrible back pass. It looks bad on him because he was put in an awful position. Rios Novo is really good. I'm I am a big.
He ended the season with the second best goal saved above average of any keeper. Like he went on a heater down the stretch, arguably that got this team into the playoffs in the first place.
And I want to say that like sweeper keepers for whatever reason, and I talked about this during the Western Conference Final. It's like I am once again asking like USL commentary teams to not comment on the fact that there's that a player is a sweeper keeper, because they act like it's a novel idea when like half the league uses sweeper keepers, because that's modern football and like people do it. And every single time they're like, man, fans must be just really like having a heart attack every time he's outside his box. It's like, nope, it's the system. It's how it's designed to work. And it's not that weird. It's pretty normal. So
I think people just like saying the word sweeper keeper together, and they just need to like hit the quota on the broadcast.
People say Manuel Neuer as if like he hasn't been doing this for 20 years now. Like, they act as if it's like it's his first season with Schalke again.
To answer the question of why didn't Rios Nova make it in ATL, that's a great question, and frankly, he should have. I was on this boat all of before of he was much better keeper than Brad Guzan, like a lot better. I think the height and Brad Guzan was the big reason why. I thought Rios Nova was the much better player.
And also, if you're thinking about Atlanta United 2, what goalkeeper ever made it with Atlanta United 2? Like, that defense was a war crime.
They just left him out. They left him out to dry. That whatever keeper was just out on a clothesline. So,
yeah, I mean,
Ben Lundgaard or whatever.
yeah, it was. I don't know. I'm a big Rocco fan. I am a big fan of him. I mean, listen, in terms of sweeper keeper, Koke is just like, he's ridiculous. But Rocco, truthfully, after getting a chance to watch him and do warm-ups and all that kind of stuff, I think he could legitimately play outfield in the USL and not stand out. He's that good on the ball. He has that good at passing, and he's a fantastic shot stopper. His technique is just, it's so good. I would, if this goes down to penalties, it crapshoot, whatever. It is what it is. But this is a close one. And when I say Phoenix is going to win, it's purely because I have to pick a winner. This is such a close one for me. It took me about 10 minutes of just like picking, like looking at it and just saying, what is my gut telling me today?
And the last point I'll make on my Charleston pick is only one of these teams has an alumnus of the Northern Illinois University Huskies, Nick Markanich, and there's no Park Kanich without Mark Kanich. So,
Jesus Christ.
I had to do it. It's the final.
Well, and by the way, like Markanich is subtly one of the most underrated attackers in the league. Like he's kind of the lifeblood of that attack in a lot of ways. What a great player. What a great pickup for this team.
Go Dogs.
Saluki Nation.
My sister actually went to SIU, so that's more so that's actually like deeply offensive that I said anything about NIU.
To Kaylor, we're keeping receipts. Keep in mind, I was the worst person at predictions by a long shot this year. I don't know ball. So don't keep receipts. I'm an idiot.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Whoever invited me to do the official picks on the USL site was like setting me up to fall flat on my face. Like putting the rake out in front of me for me to step on.
Yeah, well, it's okay. Do we want to do official score predictions or?
I'm not in the hunt because I absolutely bottled it end of the season. So
give it a nice 2-1. I mean, it feels like the most obvious answer possible.
To be fair, the last 3 USL Cup finals ever played were all 3-1 scorelines.
So,
yeah.
What you got?
I'll go 3-1 then.
Okay.
When did Tampa score against Orange County? I obviously they did, but I don't remember them scoring at all.
57th minute. Leo
Ah.
Fernandez.
Man, the narrative was so strong it literally erased a Rowdy's goal in our memory.
I mean, true. Look, we got all that through. Does anybody have anything else when it comes to the USL Championship final?
For the record, Charleston has only had one 3-1 scoreline this year, and that was when they beat Pittsburgh.
Not a bad team to do it against.
Yeah.
Anything?
Nah.
No.
Can't
CBS time. What? Wait. Yeah.
No, I just said can't wait.
Oh, I thought you said wait. I was like, okay.
No,
you
can't
had your
wait.
chance.
Can't wait.
CBS time. Today it becomes officially official that we as in not us, but the USL is Championship League One are going to be going over to CBS. Now, people were kind of doing the math of, wait a minute, not all these matches are going to be there. Where it was, said by several, they're going to have some with ESPN Plus as well. Keep in mind, like the Golazo Network, you can, as far as I know, you can watch those matches for free, right? So the people who are like, but the subscription's part of this, that's not going to be a big deal for that part, okay? And chances are, most people, let's just be honest here, most of us are going to keep our ESPN Plus anyway, because most of us watch Bundesliga, La Liga, Eredivisie, anything. We're not only just USL sickos. That's not all, like, we watch other things. So it's not going to be as big a deal for most of us anyway. I think, we can get into the details and like the good things, the bad things that come with everything. The biggest part of this to me is just the fact that it's going to be on a major network, and we're going to have more on these network times, these actual cable channels, and you're not relying on just ESPN2, which if you're like me, you're waiting to watch matches later, like the USL League One final, because I don't have cable. Being able to just go have CBS or Golazo is super nice. And so it's going to be, I think it's a step in the right direction. It's super exciting just to have more dedicated soccer, and super cool. Super cool.
Yeah, and so just to summarize some of the specifics for people who aren't quite up on it, and to be fair, I'm quoting Mike Pendleton from Twitter because he's the king of the internet. You get 600 games, right, in a given year of League One in the Championship. And per the Sports Business Journal piece, about 5 of them are going to end up on proper over-the-air CBS. So you could have the doubleheader of Rowdy's Louisville right into 60 minutes or that kind of thing going on.
I eagerly await that.
Yeah. You got 75 games on Golazo, which again is free. I think that's something that a lot of people maybe aren't realizing here. And then 20 more games on CBS Sports and Paramount Plus, and reportedly not confirmed, but confirmed, let's be real, everything else will be back on ESPN Plus. I've seen some complaints that, okay, you're splitting up. How do I know if my team is going to be on CBS or ESPN this weekend? I find that to be kind of a niche complaint. The platforming you're getting by having these games on one of the biggest free-to-watch networks in America, the partnership with a network that really cares about this sport and is investing like nobody else in spreading soccer coverage in this country. And part of the deal as well that CBS is going to expand their editorial coverage of the league. It's really incredible to see. I mean, the rights fees are going to be a big step up as well. There's nothing about this that seems like a misstep in my estimation. I think it's yet another sign that the things that are going on at the league office down in Tampa Bay are really well considered towards growing this league and this sport in a meaningful and consistent and stable way.
Sorry, Phil. I just want to jump in real fast. The thing of how will we know which thing? Like, we don't have other sports teams that play on other networks all the time. Speaking as someone who lives in the deep South who watches college football, knowing that, oh, this week it could be on CBS, this week it could be on ESPN, this week it could be on Fox, this week it could be on SEC Network. We always know. And guess what? It's never been a problem. I just saying, will it be on this CBS or will it be on ESPN? You have two options. It's not like we're splitting this up into 18 different options. And also, maybe, and this is me speaking as a spoiled Legion fan, that we have a great local television channel that will show our games. But also, as far as I know, teams that have your local TV market, just watch there. Nothing's changed for you. Just watch your local market. For most people, I think that whole thing of how will I know where to watch is a complete non-issue.
The biggest thing here for me is the fact that it's shifting USL conversations into a mainstream outlet. And it's not to say like the people who do the work of covering the league are not like doing a great job, because obviously that's already true. But the fact that like Morning Footy, which is in people's feeds on Twitter, is in people's podcast feeds, like the fact that that's going to be part of the conversation and the league is going to get exposure to fans that are otherwise tuning in to hear talk about MLS, about maybe Serie A, like about these other sort of leagues that are being NWSL, like they're connecting things and like bringing it to audiences that maybe not seeking it out on ESPN Plus right now. So this is like, that is the biggest thing for me, is it's like, yeah, it's huge that that USL is going to have matches on actual CBS in terms of like getting eyes to it that may not like traditionally see it, but just the discussion and the fact that it is going to be part of that conversation, I think that's just so huge, because right now you're getting like Football America, there's like some of these like smaller sort of outlets that sometimes pick this stuff up and talk about goals and stuff like that. But if there's meaningful conversation about stuff that goes on in USL on a show like Morning Footy or like with those sort of pundits, Charlie Davies talking about USL, that is a game changer, like for the league. That is something that makes a big difference. And it entering sort of mainstream discourse is, I think, yeah, a big move for the league. And like John said, it just denotes sort of like a higher level of seriousness that the league office is acting with now.
Who is going to be the first USL team mentioned by Jim Nantz in an afternoon round of PGA golf? And why is it going to be Loudoun United? But no, seriously, I mean, we see what CBS does within how much they've invested within the league, and just being able to have that over-the-air or access for fans is huge. I mean, if you have rabbit ears or an antenna, you could watch USL, which is something you could say that you really can't say about MLS. I mean, if you put USL around the same level of commitment that you're seeing CBS do for their Champions League coverage, for their NWSL, for Serie A, it really just kind of elevates the level of the league. And I mean, we look to CBS's own studio coverage with Henri Carragher or Michael Richards as some of the best hosts within world football right now. And if you could have even just mentioning the league in that same breath of those people, it could be huge.
One thing with this too, and people were kind of talking about it, of the production value of things. For people who maybe haven't been around the USL as long, because there are still a lot of new fans joining. We see it. I can just see it with like our own analytics, right? We see our show growing all the time, which means the league is growing all the time, which means not everybody was here since the YouTube days. And the broadcast quality, we went from YouTube to joining ESPN, is a sizable difference. And I'm not saying you're going to get that same level of jump from ESPN to CBS plus ESPN, but you're bound to see a jump. Like, there is going to be an increase in quality. There just will. It may not be as big. And some things are just going to be bad. Like if you watch the XFL, Cashman Field was also bad there. Right. There's going to be some things that aren't great, and that's not TV's fault. That is unfortunately where the games are being played fault. But it's still one of those things that you're going to see a jump in production value. You're going to see jumps in just overall quality. And hey, for all the people who are begging for more neutral commentators, you just opened up a whole new door of neutral commentators you have access to because you have CBS now. You're going to have more bigger names calling these games. You're going to have access to CBS people, which, yes, if it ends up being Nance on there, hilarious.
It could be Gary Danielson who just tie it back to Alabama football.
No one here likes Gary. We all hate Gary. Which is one of the things of me being in the band at Alabama. I went 5 straight years of not having to listen to Gary Danielson, which bless up. But yeah, it's one of those things that you have more of these opportunities now. And I think that's great. All these calls for all these things that people wanted to see change with broadcasts. When are we going to get more neutral broadcasts? When are we going to see a jump in this? When are people going to take everything more seriously with this league? That is this announcement.
I think the thing of it, like, even if only a quarter to a sixth of the games ends up getting the CBS level of production value, you're getting 4 times as much money as you were from a TV deal in the first place. So just at the club level, you've got the resources to go and spend money on your play-by-play booth. If you're Vegas, you can fix those camera angles and make sure that I feel like it's not shaking every time the ball goes from one end of the pitch to another, right? Like, you're getting extra money into these clubs to improve the product however they want to do it. And hopefully that means broadcast, certainly. But it's like the rising tide raising all ships, as it has been for years with this league. And it's just promising to see that momentum continue. And this feels really monumental.
The one thing that I think should be noted is that and make sure I read it right. So someone please correct me, by someone, probably Nicholas, correct me if I'm wrong here. But it does seem like they're still shopping the women's side of this, which, we could say, W League / League 2, but those being semi-professional, I think that's a different realm. But just Super League in general, still looking for a home, which, hey, you still have 2 options, with that being ESPN or CBS, which chances are my brain would say ESPN because NWSL being on CBS, I don't know. But ¿por qué no los dos? Why not have both? The more, women's footy you can have in one place, I'm all about it. This is also just opening more doors for that side of things. If you want to have, Super League on both, hey, why not? Also, just pure speculation. If you have CBS and ESPN getting involved, why not have the final of League 2 and W League being hosted on one of those sites? I think this just opens more opportunity for those semi-professional leagues to be pushed up just a little bit more as well.
I'm just excited to tune in, tuning into that first match on CBS is going to be like a truly surreal experience, especially, for those, Ryan, I know, when you think back to the days of the YouTube streams in USL Pro days and gambling addicts from Europe being in the chat. And now USL matches are going to be on CBS. That's just a wild ride and speaks to the fact that the league has come a long way.
As a former paid subscriber of NASL Live, I'm really excited to get something better here.
Wow, man, what a time! What a time! Your money is going a long way towards their ongoing lawsuit.
It's like half of the lawyer fees at this point, I'm sure.
Jeez.
One interesting proposal I would really like to have for CBS is, since they have the Champions League final, and that's going to be on Saturday, June 1st, the first USL game should be directly following that Champions League final. Whoever they have scheduled for Saturday, June 1st, it's the perfect segue to go from seeing the Champions League final to going into USL.
Loudon versus Lights.
You stole my joke. I was going to say RGV Loudon, but we're in the same ballpark here.
Yeah. I mean, RGV allegedly alive. Allegedly. We'll see.
Right.
We'll see.
Hey, one of these days. There's just a lot to be excited about. This is where also, hey, I'm going to pitch our idea of why not have a game day show and just send somebody, the USL show, out to these like a match of the week. Why not hey, it could be fun. Just saying, throw it out there.
And people
CBS.
gathering outside of the outside with signs, just like Bob Lilly cardboard cutouts and
Yeah. Is someone with the big Washington State flag, right?
yeah.
It's still the Washington State flag. It's not going to be a USL team.
Oh, I was gonna say Antigua Barracudas.
Imagine having to be the person that has to hold the Barracudas flag for the 14th straight year. They're just
Keep it moving.
I'd proudly hold the Antigua Barracuda flag.
Sponsored by Lowe's instead of Home Depot. Actually, that does bring me to USL Championship final thought that I had that I forgot. Pierman shoe game versus Juan Guerra outfit game.
I mean,
frankly,
what are we
if you want-
talking?
Yeah, go ahead,
What are we?
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, like, what are we taught? Like, what do you mean? Like,
Which do you think is going to come out better? Like, we
'cause,
both
like-
know that Pierman and Guerra are very much into the way that they look for these, and we both know they're a little bit petty. You know they're going to want to win the sideline outfit shoot.
but if you're just saying, like, if you're just asking, like, who's gonna look better, it's not a fair fight because Juan Guerra versus anyone is not a fair fight. If you're just saying, like, hey, which of these
Outfit.
men is more attractive, like,
No.
Let's
I am
be real.
talking. I'm talking the fit versus the shoes. I forget about necessarily the person wearing them. Who's going to have the better showing, the outfit or the shoes? A Pierman versus Guerra.
I think Pierman goes. I think he's sticking to what's worked this season. He goes tracksuit, like just keeps it cash. You know, he's probably in a hoodie. So everybody, yeah, I think Guerra probably wins just based on he's probably gonna have a little bit sharper fit, but that's yeah.
I mean,
So
I wear a
all of you-
suit for whenever I play in a Football Manager final. They should put on a suit for this.
So always be plugging. I wrote a piece about the reverse fixture, which I watched back for some takeaways. And Ben Pierman was coming out with the classic Jordans, but he also had this like beige tan, pretty heavy kind of pea coat looking thing on. Seemed a little formal for him. Whereas Juan Guerra dressing for a funeral every time, all black. That's the look here. Win or lose, and I think it might be a loss for Rising, Guerra's going to be looking sharp. So that's my pick on that front.
Do you think, does Pierman have like a USL Finals pair of shoes ready? There's no way he's going to rewear something, right?
This is a great question.
What we need to have for the USL final is what they do for the Super Bowl and just have all the other prop bets for this game that are just completely unrelated to the stuff that happens on the field.
Shoe
There's still a
related.
coin flip, right?
Who's singing the anthem? Who's the halftime show?
Yeah. I saw Nicholas talking
What color
about
Gatorade?
I saw Nicholas talking about Pierman's hoodie, and like I think it's the one like Charleston flexed on us because Pierman wore that hoodie on this show. We all hinted heavily at like, hey, we all want that hoodie, and they were like, yeah, it'll be available in the store. It was like, man, I've never felt more.
There we
more
go.
shut
Confirmed
down.
by Ben in the comments here.
Yeah, because I think as soon as he went off, every single one of us said, "What a nice hoodie that was," and then Charleston official account was just like, "By the way,"
They're like, they're for sale. You broke ass. It's just like, no, all love. I probably am still gonna cop one at some point, but
Let the record show to any USL manager next season, just come on the show and you will be in the final.
we're one for
Hey.
one.
look, we had Kano on, and a couple days later he got a job. So either come on here, you go to the final, or become employed. So,
Yeah,
congrats.
one of those two.
Simple math. we had a Maloney and Tainer on last season, and they won a title. So come on.
Hey, we probably had a couple of others that were on.
Yeah,
too.
we don't talk about that.
No.
That doesn't fit our
Yeah.
narrative here.
I don't even think those made the transfer when change the podcast. So like those
There you go.
episodes don't exist.
And
Sorry,
RIP.
Devin Mensa.
It's
You
like
know
the
what?
Doctor Who lost episodes.
And also, wait, no, Devin won like team MVP this year.
Is it Black Arrow? Am I getting that right?
It was
They've got a
Black
cool
Arrow
name for
and
it.
like team MVP. He won both.
Okay.
So like
Yeah.
he
it's
came
the bump.
on. He came on from a torn ACL and wins team MVP.
So the USL show predictions, curse. Any
Yeah.
USL show guesting, bump.
Yeah, big time.
Just saying, the USL show was on the Jermaine Jones like Fuego presser, which we don't know how pressers work versus proper interviews, but there has to be some kind of bump, right?
Fuego League One champs confirmed for next year. So
Let's just say Fuego makes the playoffs. Let's not.
Starts rough.
Fuego
they're winning it all.
USL Championship promotion.
Jermaine Jones is going to sub himself on in the final and score the winner.
Rips off the track suit, so just a Fuego kit.
Yeah, he's going to be the first signing, his own first signing.
Growing the dreads back out.
Didn't he get fired for not playing the owner at GK? So like for him to come out and immediately play himself would be the best power move and just a super niche lower league thing that maybe only less than 100 people would realize, but be awesome.
I want you to put the word out that we back up.
So if he's the manager and the player, and if like he gets sent off from the match, does that also impact, like, does he just go back to the sidelines and is the manager, or is the manager also sent off?
I don't know.
Gone.
I think these are the risks you take.
I mean, I guess either way you have to kind of be gone, but nothing's ever stopped a coach from going studs up from the sideline. I mean,
We
we
had a
always
coach in Hartford stand in the stands after getting sent off.
Hartford's making signings without a coach, and I'm tired of holding it in. I'm mad. I'm really mad.
Okay. This is the thing that it took me a minute to come around to. These teams have all done a million things. Like there are I want to say I haven't heard about Detroit, but every other team like has a filled spot and they've just not announced it yet. So Hartford knows what they're doing. They're just announcing things in dumb order.
I hate it. I really hate it. I said it in our private chat. Hartford's done nothing to us or to me. Actually, Hartford's been very kind to us. We did interview their director of football this year. Okay.
And
anyway,
interim coach for a little bit, Ray Reid?
I think so. I think he
Yeah.
was interim coach for a little bit. Hey, he still has a job, so USL bump.
Yeah.
But they've been very good to us, but I have so much like disdain towards Hartford because they just they have such good fan support, and yet they just do weird things. And it's not like Vegas weird things where they're trying to be a little quirky. They're just doing the wrong things all the time. They may make me mad.
They mean well.
Do they?
They try
Oh.
to.
They try. Oh man. All right. Does anybody have any final thoughts for the night USL side? No.
No, just I mean, hey, look at us. Look how far we've come. 8 months later, whole season, nothing but fire podcasts.
Hey, other
Coming
than
coming soon to CBS Sports Golazo. Just kidding.
Yeah.
John
Phil is
Hart.
joining the crew on Champions League.
Yeah.
Where
in
would
my-
you
in my
position
dreams.
yourself at the desk between Henri and Carragher, or between Carragher and Micah Richards?
Definitely between Kara and Micah, because you can't you never know when Thierry's going to react to news and grab Kara's thigh. So you got to keep that channel open. Yeah.
Oh, I want to be in thigh grab position.
I'm a little worried about being at the table in general because I'm so afraid it's going to turn into like a NBA pre-show rings, Ernie. Like it's going to turn into one of those things, and I'm just sitting there.
It does
Like-
get wild. Like, I mean, Kate has no chill. She'll just roast Micah like live on air for not ever winning being the only one with no Champions Leagues like at the table. So yeah.
I'm the one who's absolutely rattled by being called 10-10. I don't know if I could handle being told that I accomplished nothing.
No,
Okay.
you have
Like-
performed well under fire today. Like you were just taking heat all pod long.
Like I can't work under these conditions.
Listen, the fact that Ben Pierman even thinks that we're getting paid at all, I mean, I did this for free. I got destroyed for an entire podcast for free. In fact, I think I'm paying to do this.
I mean, StreamYard costs money, man. So
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Alan. But yeah, what a long weird season. We got one more episode of the year, and that's going to be the finals of the USL Championship. And who has final thoughts for the night?
Yeah, I mean, obviously super excited for what we're going to see on the pitch. Give a shout to an upcoming movie, The Killer, coming out on Netflix. It's David Fincher. You know him, you love him from Fight Club, Seven, Gone Girl, etc. Lucky enough to see this thing in theaters a week or two ago. It's like exactly what you want out of that kind of movie from that kind of guy. So good stuff if you want to see something kind of dark but fun.
Phil?
Yeah, I don't have a ton. I mean, it's been basically all sports recently on my TV. But I, without getting overly political, Ohio did an awesome thing today, which was they enshrined reproductive health care rights in their state constitution, which, like, I know that's a divisive topic, but women having the ability to make that decision with their doctor is just like an amazing thing. And in a deeply, like, in a presidential race, it's often a very red state. So the fact that like people went out and did the thing and actually protected women in Ohio is just like really, really awesome. And I'm proud for maybe the first time to be in Ohio. So yeah,
You're not a big JD Vance guy.
yeah, he's, oh my God. Yeah. Well, I've got a story for you off air, but anyways, yeah, it's no, it was cool that they did it, because I wasn't so sure, and they came through, and yeah, pretty awesome. So anyways, that's my big news today.
Beautiful. Ryan?
Yeah, I guess it's hard to follow up that news, but Football Manager 2024 officially released in full today. I've officially picked out my at least first big save to be with Tokyo Verde in the J League 2. It's a team that hasn't won a J League title since the 1990s and haven't been in the top flight since 2008, but looking to return that team to the top flight and try and take down rivals FC Tokyo.
Tokyo Verde sounds like a bad fusion restaurant.
The only reason I'm doing this is I eventually want to sign Jamie Vardy so I could have the team be called Tokyo Vardy.
Mm-hmm.
I
Now we're talking.
always want to play Football Manager, but it always scares me. I've bought it twice, and I will play it for like a week, and then I will look at it and say, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't want to do more spreadsheets, and I quit. And then I'll always see somebody playing, and I'm like, that looks so much fun. I wish I could do that as it's sitting on my desktop, ready for me to do that.
That's me playing The Sims.
I will say the beta. I haven't got to the full game yet, but the beta of FM24, like I was very, very much enjoying. My test save is always with Liverpool because I know the team and everything. But yeah, I have to pick out a full save. The J League and the whole J League system being in this year's game, like officially, is pretty awesome. So I know it's going to be a popular start for a lot of people. And yeah. I'm just trying to build my CV. So whatever USL team decides to have open applications for managers, I'm going to start putting down all of my Champions League titles. My AFC Champions League titles with Kashima Antlers on there.
I won the
That's
Europa
why-
League with Venice from Italy, and I feel like I need to include that on my resume.
Yeah,
That's why Fuego ignored my resume. I didn't.
you need more FM experience, man. Will Still is like the hero of the FM community, managing in France. So yeah, it can happen.
I mean, could you imagine any of us just on the sidelines in Fresno, just having to just do that, just try to make things? I think, I don't know. It'd just be just like, what are we doing here? It's like whenever, like I remember during COVID, there were some teams across the world who were saying, hey, if you donate this amount of money, you can play for the team. You can be a manager for a day. Like, please donate money. We're trying not to die. I feel like that would just kind of be happening. I donated like $10,000. Let me manage the team for one day. Thanks.
USL show plays Loudoun United.
That's the part of the 10 a.m. Game next year. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. They're playing Memphis again. And there it is. It's all four of us on the sideline for Loudoun.
Each of us gets to manage 22 and a half minutes of the game. Non-consecutively, though, so we have to pick and choose which minute we get to manage.
No, that's a Vegas promotion if I've ever heard one.
If you get sent off, you get to go sit in the kiddie pool.
Get out of the sideline mattress.
I guess thoughts for me has just been a crazy week of teaching and stuff. It has just just been a crazy week, and it's already Tuesday. I don't know how this is going to. I don't know how it's going to go for the rest, but it is what it is. All the little ones are sick, and so I've been disinfecting everything. They touch anything, instantly Clorox it, and yet it didn't work because 3-year-olds have superpowers on getting everything that they've ever seen sick. You know, that time when we thought COVID was spreading through people looking at each other for too long? I think 3-year-olds can actually do that. So I don't know, but yeah, that was the week's been long, but hey, only one more week, 2 more weeks, 1.5 weeks, whatever, till my Thanksgiving break, and that's all I need. So bless up. Unless anybody has any final thoughts? No? And for the first time and the last time tonight, cue Alan's voice.
Thank you for watching another episode of the USL Show.
The USL Show is now proudly part of the Protagonist podcast family. Please go to protagonistsoccer.com to check out more work. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see everyone again next time.